Hey friends, my name is Nick and today I'm going to be doing a random Q&A. So I think last week I was really bored at work. It was super slow, so I went on Twitter and I was like, hey, asking random questions and I will answer them in a future video. I don't know if I exactly said that, but here I am. It's the future video. Nobody asked for this, but some of you did ask some questions, so thank you for doing that. I felt validated, which is always nice. So I'm going to be doing my absolute best to answer them as quickly as possible. I haven't prepared any answers for this. I thought about going ahead and answering them in a little, Word document just to make sure that this wasn't completely messy, but that wouldn't be very on brand of me. So bear with me. Now, if I don't answer anybody's question, it's only going to be because it was either too similar or a duplicate question that somebody else had already asked. So the first couple of questions were asked by Leland Reeds, and the first one is favorite hairstyle. So I actually don't really do much with my hair, which is hilarious because I actually used to be a hairstylist. I'm still a licensed cosmetologist. I just don't practice anymore. So I used to do my hair every single day. I used to just straighten it every day and wear it down. I still wear it down pretty much every day except for when I'm working, but now I don't hardly ever do anything to it. It actually has gotten wavier as I've gotten older, so I just kind of wear it natural now. All right, the second question is best bookish friend, and I cannot pick just one because I have so many really good friends in this community. Ishi, Emma, Sarah, Tate, Diana, those are the people that I'm closest to, that I talk to frequently. I definitely do have more people that I consider friends in the bookish community, but those are my main people. If you could meet any booktuber in person, who would it be and why? So obviously, if I could meet any of those in person that I mentioned, I absolutely would in a heartbeat. I feel like we would have so much fun. Other than that, people that I don't say that I'm friends with because they're bigger booktubers that I would want to hang out with because I feel like it would be really fun. Kat from Paperback Dreams, I feel like she would be a lot of fun to hang out with. And Heather from Aphrodite Reads, I feel like she would be super fun to hang out with. I actually had a dream last night that I went to California and we went to the beach. So yeah, I would also hang out with those people if given the opportunity. Favorite book convention event of the year. I've never been to any book conventions and I don't really know of that many. I know of BookCon and BEA. I don't know if those are the same thing or different things. That's how little I know about conventions. But I guess those are the biggest ones. I'm hoping to be able to go to BookCon next year. It just really depends. I have a lot going on that summer, so hopefully I'll be able to go. ARCs or backlist. So I used to actually get ARCs from work when I worked at Barnes & Noble. So I liked having those. I actually discovered one of my favorite books from those, but I feel like backlist is accessible to everybody and you have a lot more to choose from, so I'm gonna go with that. How often do you DNF a book? I'm pretty liberal with my DNFs. I'm definitely a mood reader, so if I'm not feeling a book, I will put it down. A lot of times I'll just say, oh, this isn't for me right now, and I'll come back to it. But if I'm just straight up not having a good time, bro, then I will DNF it. I don't feel guilty for DNFing books. Sometimes I'll come back to them, but not often. I typically DNF for a reason. Originally I DNF'd The Cruel Prince. I ended up coming back to it, but I still didn't really vibe with it, so. The next question is from Luna K. Reads, and that is, what is your favorite thing about BookTube? As a watcher, just the different recommendations and opinions that you can get. I really love that about BookTube. I just love how everyone is here to talk about books. It's literally that simple. But as a booktuber, definitely the community, for sure. I've said that a million times and it's still my answer. I love this community and I'm so thankful for it, and it's definitely my favorite thing about BookTube. The next couple questions are from my good friend Sarah, and the first one is, your OTP of book ships doesn't have to be from the same book. I mean, I could be really basic and just say Faysand, but I know I'm trash. You don't have to tell me. I know that I'm trash, okay? I understand that. You know what? I will always be trash for Persebeth. Yeah. If you could switch lives with one book character, who would it be and why? That is tricky because I read a lot of fantasy and I feel like a lot of the characters are just in really tricky situations. I don't really know if there's any character that I'd want to switch lives with. I don't know. I'm not a protag, you know. And even side characters, they get caught up in protag's mess. I'm good where I'm at, honestly. If you could rewrite the ending of one of your favorite books, which would you rewrite and why? So, okay. I don't consider this one of my favorite books, but I think it could have been one of my favorite, like, contemporary romances had the ending be different, and that is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I'm not gonna say what the ending was because spoiler, but I hated the ending of that book so much, and I really think that if it had a different ending, then it could have been a 5-star. So I'm gonna say that because I'm forever bitter about it. Court the Bun asked what's my favorite genre, and I did get this question a few times, and that is fantasy. For sure. Specifically YA fantasy, because that's just what I've read most of, but I do want to get into more adult fantasy. But yeah, that for sure. What's a genre you want to read more of? I don't think that I've actually read any, but I really want to start trying to get into thrillers. If you had to pick one bookish world to live in, what would it be? I want to say Camp Half-Blood, but like if I could just be one of the Demeter kids, just like chilling and growing plants, not having to go on quests, I'd like to do that. But I don't want to have to actually put my life in risk. So Kelly Evans asked what my favorite and least favorite tropes are, and this one I definitely got several times. So my favorite trope, which is like super specific, is anything anonymous or like online or long distance. Some books that would fit into that category are like Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, Letters to the Lost, Alex Approximately. So I just realized that I forgot to mention my least favorite trope, and that is pretty much anything with miscommunication as a conflict. Just talk it out, guys. It's that simple. A book you would recommend to everyone. I think it was my rapid fire book tag, I recommended The Poet X, which I do still think that pretty much everybody should read that. It's hard because I don't think that there's one book that would benefit every single person or that every single person could connect to. So I feel like that's a tricky question. Another book that I could also pretty much use for that would be The Hate U Give. I don't know, I feel like that's a very subjective question because everybody's tastes are so different. She also asked what my auto-buy authors are, and Leigh Bardugo, Sarah J. Maas, Rick Riordan, Margaret Rogerson has definitely become an auto-buy author for me. I still haven't read Sorcery of Thorns because of my slump, but I just already know that I'm gonna absolutely love it. I've only read 2 things by her, but so far Bridget Kemmerer is becoming a auto-buy author, even though she still has a couple books out that I haven't bought yet. So I guess she can loosely fit in there. What's a bookish unpopular opinion that you would die on a hill for? I don't think that I could. I don't have one for like one specific book, but it's okay to like books that aren't considered good. Like if a book is like trashy, which I feel like is a very subjective term, it's okay to like it. Or if like a book is very problematic, as long as you recognize the issues, I think it's perfectly fine to like it. I mean, look at me. I like Sarah J. Maas. Her books are not the best, but like I love them so much. So I definitely think that's a hill that I would die on, is that it's okay to like books that aren't necessarily the greatest. Shia XX asks a book that made me cry so hard. So it was, I want to say about 2 years ago, maybe. I don't remember exactly when I read it, but History's All You Left Me. I cried like 17 different times reading that book. And I don't think I ever officially settled on a rating for it because I went back and forth so many times between like 4 and 5 stars. And I think I settled somewhere around 4 or 4.5. I don't know, but I cried so many times. Like, I've cried at other books before, not many, but I have, but never so often when reading a book as that one. A book you wish you could wipe off your memory and why? There's 2 books specifically that I'm thinking of. One I think is called 7 Days of You. I don't remember who it's by. I don't care who it's by. I did not like it. I was just really in the mood for a bunch of, like, you know, young adult romance contemporaries, and I tried it out because I think I had it on my Kindle. I got it on sale for like 99 cents or something. Good thing I didn't waste money on it, because holy crap, it was awful. I have a full review for it that I'll put in the description on Goodreads if you care, but I didn't like it. And then also, I always forget the title of the first book, but I think the series is called Pure Ones or something by like Aja James. I might have that completely wrong. I also have a full review that I will also link down in the description, but it was this like take on vampires, and there was like just a lot of smuttiness in it, which is fine, but the smut was awful, and she like tried to throw in this really complex plot, and it was just not working out. And literally the only reason that I kept reading it was for Val and Rain, because I somehow became super invested in their relationship and if they were going to get together at the end or not. Specifically Val. I liked Rain. She was okay. But Val, I think his name was Valerian, but they called him Val. Oh my god, I fell in love with him. I was like, how can this author who wrote this awful book create this one character who I would probably die for? Okay, that's too much. I didn't like the book that much. But it was really bad. I hated it. I never skim books. If I'm not enjoying it, I usually just DNF it or just trudge through. I skimmed most of the book after the halfway point because I just could not deal. So those 2 books, I would be perfectly okay if I just completely forgot that they existed. Diana asked what my favorite tattoo is on my body, and that's a little hard. I have 6, I think. 5, 6. Yeah, I have 6 tattoos. And half of them were on a whim, half of them are tattoos I got with some of my best friends, all separately. And so that's really hard. I think my most recent one is my favorite, and that is this one. It says, "I'll be there for you," and it's in my best friend's handwriting. We recently celebrated our 10 years of friendship, and she is my person, my ride or die. She's everything to me, and we both have a mutual love of the show Friends, and so "I'll Be There For You" is like in the song, and you know, the title song. I feel like everybody has at least seen an episode of Friends, but anyway, but that's like our mutual favorite show, and then just "I'll Be There For You" really like signifies a lot in our relationship because we've both gone through a lot, and almost our whole friendship has been long distance, but we're still always there for each other. So it was just really special. We each wrote it out in our own handwriting and then got the other person's tattooed, and it's so special to me. So I want to say that that's my favorite. She also asked me what my favorite animal is, and I have quite a few because I love animals, but my absolute favorite are goats. I don't know why, they're just so cute. Oh my gosh, they're just so cute, and they jump and they scream and relatable, but I just really love goats. I don't know. If you could bring a character back to life, who would it be? I'm not going to speak for Diana, but I feel like we would probably have the same answer, and I don't want to actually say who it is because, spoiler, but I'll just say Crooked Kingdom. Okay, she also asks FMK, her, Kaz, and Rysand. Diana, I would marry you in a heartbeat. I would do Rysand because, you know, mountains quaking and all that. Kaz would not touch me, and I love him, but I wouldn't marry him, so I'm sorry, honey, I'm gonna have to kill you off. A book you want to see adapted. Well, I'm getting my dream come true because they're already adapting the Grishaverse. Other than that, I feel like, and I hesitate to say this because they've tried once and it was awful, but I feel like a animated TV series of Percy Jackson and the Olympians would be fantastic. We all know that the movies were absolutely terrible, and so we don't acknowledge those. But I feel like an animated TV series would be really, really cool. So I would be scared if they tried to do that, but like I would want it. I would watch it. What book character would you marry in real life? Again, I read a lot of fantasy, so it'd be weird to translate, but we all know the best boy, Nikolai, is the love of my life. So him. The Disney chick asks what kind of shoe is my favorite to wear, and I'm a Florida girl. I'm used to wearing flip-flops all year long. I can't really do that in Oklahoma, so when it's not hot outside, Vans are usually my go-to. Favorite mythical creature? That's a tough one. Dragons, obviously, are fantastic, but like mermaids, like sirens, oof. It's a tough decision. How many plants do I own? Okay, let's see. At the moment, I have 7 plants currently, and they're all variations of cacti and succulents. Yeah. So currently, but that is always subject to change. Cosmic Reese asks, who is my favorite character? That is a loaded question. I mean, obviously there's Nikolai, and then all of the Six of Crows gang, but I've said in a previous video, specifically Nina and Inej, I really, really love. Any of the main cast of Percy Jackson, that trio is fantastic, and I would die for them. I do really like Feyre as a protag. Specifically, I feel like she really peaked for me at the very beginning of ACOWAR. Like, when she was trying to avoid spoilers, when she was back in the Spring Court. I really liked that part. Who is your favorite author? I feel like this kind of goes along with the auto-buy authors, who I forgot to mention, as an auto-buy author, she only has 1 book out currently, but she's working on her 2nd book, and that is Ashley Woodfolk. She wrote The Beauty That Remains, which is one of my favorite books ever. I'm going to include her in my favorite authors, even though I've only read 1 of her works, because she only has 1, so that's kind of, dicey, but she's also an auto-buy author. But pretty much any of those. Bridget Kemmerer, it's funny because even though I've only read 2 books, both of those books came to me at exactly the right time. So that's a interesting dynamic that I have with her books. So we'll see what the other ones are like. Ishi asks me a few questions, and the first one is, if you weren't on BookTube, what side of YouTube would you be on? So I do really like video games, even though I'm very on and off with them and I'm not the best. I actually have considered doing a playthrough of When the Night Comes, but I haven't decided if I'm actually going to go through with that, and if I want it on this channel or if I want to make a new one, even though making a new channel is just so much work. So I've considered doing that, but that's just more time that I would have to dedicate. So if I was better at video games, I would probably honestly do a gaming channel, but I'm not, so I'm not. Which book character will you never stop loving? Any of the favorite characters I mentioned earlier, but probably specifically Nikolai. Which would you never stop hating? Ooh, okay. What characters do I hate? That's tough. I feel like a lot of characters that I hate are they're written for you to hate them. So they're awful on purpose. So okay, hear me out. Okay, so this character, I don't hate them, but I hate that they weren't more. So y'all are gonna roast me for this, but I did not like the Darkling. I thought I would love him, but I just feel like he was such a cookie cutter villain. I think it was in the Gracioverse live show, with Cindy, Kat, and Jordan, where I forget who, but one of them described the Darkling as a cardboard cutout of a villain, and I thought that was just so perfect, because I mean, he really just wasn't dimensional at all. So I hate that because I feel like he could have been fantastic. Favorite movie? I have a few. A lot of them are for nostalgic reasons. House Moving Castle is one of my favorites ever. Aladdin, Phantom of the Opera, Lord of the Rings, obviously. Recent favorite movies, specifically MCU movies, are Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Captain Marvel. Tate asks, what is an odd video idea that I want to do? Like I said earlier, I've been toying with the idea of doing a playthrough of When the Night Comes. I'm not sure if I'll actually do it. Also, I've actually been, I haven't worked on it in a while, but even before I officially started my channel, I started coming up with an original tag. I have been thinking about it again recently, and I want to kind of tweak some of the questions that I had written down way earlier this year. But I don't know how like odd that is, but I'm not super original, so I don't know how many like odd ideas I have. Favorite thing about book Twitter? I will literally die using my last breath to say the community. Because that's really what made me start booktube in the first place, was getting so involved on book Twitter. But also just like, I don't know, all the shenanigans, I guess, which is a good and a bad thing because book Twitter has so much drama, but like it's also really entertaining, especially if you don't actually get involved in it. Book Twitter is very entertaining for sure. Will you marry me? Absolutely. Man, I'm marrying a couple people today. Emma asks, would I rather be able to only reread books or only be able to read new books? Oof. Okay, so I do have several books that I consider my favorites that I constantly want to reread. But I feel like there's so many books out there that could potentially be my new favorite books. So that is so difficult. But I can't imagine never reading Six of Crows again. So, or like never reading Percy Jackson again. So I'm gonna have to say reread. I mean, it would suck seeing new books and not being able to read them, but I can't abandon the ones that I've already read and loved because I am such a rereader. Why can't we live in the same city so we can hang out all the time? I don't know, but it's a travesty, and distance should not exist. Lisan Prune, I am so sorry if I did not pronounce that correctly, asks, what book do you feel like changed your life / your perception of this world? I don't know if there's one specific book that necessarily changed my life, but very recently I read Letters to the Lost, which I feel like really helped me in my grading process. So I guess that's the closest thing that I could come to that. Other than that, there's not really anything that like completely changed my way of thinking, you know? Maureen in Books asks, how many unread books do I own? So I did do a video a couple months ago, I don't remember exactly when, of how many read versus unread books I have, so I'll put that up there. But obviously that number has changed a little bit, so let me go count really quick. Okay, so not including books that I've like started at some point and planning on going back to, approximately 45-ish, which isn't that bad. I was expecting a lot worse. Mind you, this is not including Kindle books, but there are a couple books that I didn't count because I've started them and planning on going back to, but ones that I just like haven't read or like only read maybe the first chapter of and just wasn't in the mood for it, approximately 44 to 45. If you make cheesecake, do you put it in the oven or the fridge? I really like this question. I actually have never made a cheesecake myself, but I watch a lot of cooking videos, and I remember the first time seeing a video of them baking a cheesecake, I was like, what are you doing? Don't you like freeze it? So since I've never made it myself, I don't really know, but I would probably put it in the freezer because I feel like I would mess up if I baked it, but like, I don't know. But I would definitely only eat it frozen. Like, I can't imagine eating warm cheesecake. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but I don't want to do that. Angelica Bailey asks, what are some of your hobbies outside of reading? So one of my hobbies that I haven't actually been able to do for a while since moving to Oklahoma, which I love, it's one of my passions, and I don't think I've actually talked about it on this channel, is scuba diving. I'm actually a scuba diver, and before I moved to Oklahoma, I was apprenticing under my brother-in-law to eventually become an instructor and a dive master. Well, dive master then instructor. That got put on hold indefinitely. I do really, really miss diving. I just haven't been able to do it in a while. All right, and the last question I have is favorite comfort food. So I haven't had it in a while, but my comfort food, the only one that I've actually labeled as a comfort food, would be teriyaki chicken. And that's because one time when I was young, like, I don't know, maybe 10-ish, me and my dad were at the mall, and it was around Halloween time, and there was a guy in the parking lot with like a mask and like a bloody white shirt and a chainsaw, which my dad swore was fake, but could not tell young me that because I thought it was the realest thing ever. He was chasing people around in the parking lot, and we were about to leave the mall, and I got so scared, so he took me back inside and he bought me teriyaki chicken. And then we just like sat there and I ate it while we waited for that guy to go away. So like for a long time I considered that my comfort food because anytime I ate it, it would just like give me that calm memory of, I don't know. So other than that, maybe like pizza. I really, really like pizza. I don't know. All right, that is all the questions, and thanks so much to everyone who asked me these questions. I guess I could also consider this like a yay, I passed 100 subscribers thing, even though that happened a couple months ago, and then almost immediately after that happened, I stopped being active, so. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for being so supportive, and feel free to subscribe if you want. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.